must have known that I was lonely, because you came to my rescue. Ooh, and I know that this must be heaven. How could so much love be inside of you? Oh, you are the sunshine of my life. That's why I'll always be around. Yeah, yeah. You are the apple of my eye. Forever you stay in my heart. Yeah. Yes, thank you, Goodfellows.
Infinite.
Oh, Reverend Zemke will be speaking today. As you can see, he's here. And, and gratitude is the grace of life, and that's his message. So, for my inspirational message this morning, for the month of November, the theme here at the Temple of the Living God is grace and gratitude. Sanctifying grace, the permanent disposition to remain in communion with God. When I close my eyes and open my heart, I move into that sacred space where I am in communion with God. It is there I understand that God always has been there, and all I had to do was shift my awareness. God is ever present and omnipotent. For this, I express my gratitude, and so it is. Now we'll have music with Carol and the Goodfellows. Yes. Okay. Reverend Lucis.
We have in our service a time called Divine Healing, for those of you perhaps who are new here. And we have a few of our healers that will come forth and stand in front of the platform, facing you, and will share loving, healing energies towards you. And so as we have that process take place, we're going to be having Robin and Jade play the bowls during that portion of healing. So we just invite you just to remain in your chairs as the healers will face you, as I said, just and share the energies with you. So at this time, I would ask 3 to 5 of our healers to come forth, please.
And we can, and you know we can, and we are. One step, one act, it's a simple fact. We can be the change. Don't have to do it all, the steps are too small. We can be the change, be the change. We can be the change, be the change. We can be the change. One heart, one voice, it's a simple choice. We can be the change. But when it calls to you and it's yours to do, we can be the change, be the change. We can be the change, be the change. We can be the change. Reach out one hand, be the change. a part of the plan. Be the change, put it into motion. Be the change, like a ripple on the ocean. Be the change. Sing it. Be the change. We can be the change. 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 We can be the change. We can be the change.
Thank you for the beautiful music always. And may I thank also Jade and our wonderful music of the healing. I call them the healing bowls. Robin and Jade did a beautiful job this morning. Thank you in adding to our service. Today I want to talk about, we're going to talk throughout the month of November about the nature of the experience of gratitude. Today I'm speaking in specific about the grace of gratitude. I have a quote that I want to set as, in a way, the tone for our message today, which is written really a very long time ago by a saint. Many of you have Catholic background may remember Saint Teresa of Avila. Quote, "Let nothing disturb thee. Let nothing affright thee. All things are passing. God never changes. Patience gains all things. Who has God wants nothing. God alone suffices." End quote. While this speaks in part, the prayer of St. Teresa speaks in part to the idea of change, as you let the message of the words sink beyond your external meaning, you began to realize that this is a woman who is speaking to the whole condition of man as trusting in something that is divine. One of the earlier presidents of our country, many of you, of course, may remember him, Grover Cleveland, wrote, "I know there is a supreme being who rules the affairs of men and whose goodness and mercy have always followed the American people. And I know God will not turn from us now if we humbly and reverently seek that aid in our lives always," unquote. In the time in which we live, many people speak to what's missing in our culture, and we can always look at what's missing not only in the culture, on the various levels of society, in our government. We can look at our leaders. I don't know how many of you have ever met a perfect leader. He or she never does what everybody thinks he or she should do, regardless whether he or she was voted or not voted, or whether they believe that they even should be in a human body. So my point in that comment is this: it's important for us as a ministry and really as a people to look to the world in which we live, to be the change as our musicians brought to us. It was one of Mahatma Gandhi's famous quotes, "Be the change that you wish to make in the world." We have a lot of people who join groups and organizations now who are motivating to push change in a government. And while that's important on one level, it very often points out to the flaws, to what's not happening. And we tend to think, well, if enough people shout loud enough, something will happen. But the real bigger work is the work that we do in our own life. And one of the ways we change is to be grateful in our life. Now, that may sound somewhat counterproductive, and you can say to yourself, or as I have said to myself, well, why do I want to be grateful for this hardship that I have? Or this difficulty that's in my life? Or the lack of money that I need to make payments for my rent, or for my car, or for my family, or for my children, or for my health, or whatever else it may be. But part of our work as a person, as a being spiritually, is to look at our life with a sense that we have a purpose here. We have health, even though it's not perfect in the external sense, as we might measure that in the outer world, and no one really knows what perfect health is. I asked a doctor not just too long ago, maybe about a month ago, have you ever met a man or a woman who has perfect health? And he looked at me and he said, "Why do you ask such a question?" He said, "I don't see people that are healthy." He said, "People come to me if they've got a complaint." And he said, "Our country educates people to come to the country, come to us when there is a complaint." He said, "I'm not complaining about it." But he said, "Perfection is an ideal." An ideal. So, having said that, gratitude is not an ideal. It is a reality. We all have been educated in the earlier part of our lives, I would think, by our families, our parents, our grandparents, aunts and uncles, to say thank you for gifts that we receive, for birthdays, special events, Christmas time, and other occasions of the year. And it's a good social grace. But real gratitude is not about having to be prompted by anybody, a mother, a father, a husband, wife, friend, or whoever. Gratitude is spontaneous. It comes out of us because we feel a connection to the man, to the woman, to the experience that we are receiving from them. It is through the living experiences of our life, as we live in the world of flesh and form, that we have the window to the world in which we can experience gratitude. And I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, it is through living that we experience our lives from a place of fullness. Now, we can always look back and say, well, this didn't happen, that didn't happen, that didn't happen. That happened, but. I would like to invite you to kick the butts out of your life and say thank you for what is there. It's so important to allow ourselves as a people to be grateful for what we have. We have, as a nation, stumbled our way through a pandemic. We're seemingly now on the outer edges of that, at least I hope so. There's still a lot of fear in our culture, and if you just listen to the media for one 24-hour period, you can really readily go insane with all of the fear that is still present in the language of many, many media hosts. Now, I'm not criticizing them because they speak to the collective fear that's in the consciousness of the people. You and I have to say, I don't want to buy into fear. I want to go out in the world and live my life. So we need to experience our life from a more positive place and not look at the things that didn't work out, but look at the things that did. That doesn't mean that we ignore them, but it doesn't mean that we emphasize them. Grace is, secondly, a divine quality. And grace is a gift that flows from the Spirit of the eternal presence. We cannot really manipulate grace. Grace is, as I say, something that is presented to us. It is divine in nature. I had an image of grace that came to me when I was thinking about this talk this week, this morning, and I saw the image of a meadow. I grew up in the country, so in certain times of the year, I would wake up very early in the morning, and I would see this beautiful, beautiful mist over the fields, the trees, the crops, the gardens, the properties, the animals, and life itself. It was really quite amazing to watch that. And then as the sun came up gradually, the mist would lift and the forms on the meadow, on the fields, and on the farm itself, which I was raised, would become more clear. But I remember how my parents talked about it, one of which was that they were always grateful for that because that was moisture for the earth, for all of the trees, for all of the plants, for all of the little moving beings that lived on the face of the earth that were necessary for life to be maintained. Never have I forgotten that image. So when I see fog or mist anywhere that I happen to be here in Florida or elsewhere, I think of it as a grace that settles on our life. We can't control that. It just descends. It just comes. And we are open to it and receptive to it as it comes. Take it and accept it for what it brings to you. How many of you this week were out somewhere this past week where you experienced the deluge that happened in the state of Florida? Anybody experience that? Did you have to be out in it? Well, if you didn't, you missed an opportunity to get wet. It was really remarkable to see the amount of water that came down throughout the day in various parts of just this county. I had reason to be out for part of the day, and everywhere I went, I kept saying, thank you to the universe, thank you to the universe. May I get where I'm going safely. I was conscious of being responsible as much as possible in driving, but I was grateful to see the rain. November in Florida, for those of you who are possibly visitors, is our driest month of the year. We almost never get rain in November. Well, that's been broken now. We've gotten a lot of rain, and we have more cold fronts coming, which will also bring more rain. Gratitude blesses everyone it touches, somewhat like the fragrance of a flower that is offered day and night to anyone who passes. It doesn't restrict its perfume to the one who says, thank you for your presence on this row of flowers. It just offers itself to life. Be a flower offering your fragrance to your friends, to your partner, to your wife, to your children, to your grandchildren. Live fully in the world in which you live. You and I live in this world. And regardless whether you like it or not, it's better, I think, to appreciate it because it helps you to enjoy it more. Finally, I want to really help you to realize that it's a major spiritual truth. I think, as many other teachers think, it is a blessing to walk on the earth, to be incarnated, to have our health, or even that which we experience as a lack, to have wealth or not, to have friends and family or not. Every condition in our life is essential to what we individually need to experience who we are on the earth. As you leave today and in the week to come, think about an experience of your life that's given you a real problem, that you think of as a problem. And I'm going to invite you to think of that in a way that's different. In other words, the way you think of that is to say, thank you for this problem that I have in my life. And am I willing to see the gift that this issue is for me in my life, as well as for other men, other women, other people? Let's not worry about what somebody else is getting out of it. Let's see what we're getting out of it. What is coming to us? And when you and I can look at a situation that is troubling to us, we begin to shift the energy from grumbling, complaining, and negative thinking to grace and to gratitude. As you think about this problem, if it is one, or an issue that you see, bless the woman or bless the man or the situation that may be in your life. It's a very practical thing you can do. It doesn't require any special training. None. It just requires that you stop and do it. Instead of cursing the driver in front of you who cut right in front of you and didn't signal, bless that young lad or gal or man or woman or whoever. Bless them. Just bless them that no accident happened and that you were conscious enough to use your brakes and to be safe in that road with that other man or that other woman. We don't need negative energy surrounding the people on our highways, my goodness. But we don't want to send out something we don't want to receive. Every time you bless someone, that blessing comes back. Not in the same form, not in the same way. But think about if you're sending out a negative to someone. I hope you experience what you just gave to me. Do you really want that man to experience, or that woman, what you experienced as a negative interpretation of their reaction to something back in your own life? Think about that. Think about blessing every man, every woman, every child, even the people that are the most difficult. Those are the ones that give us the biggest training and the biggest teaching. Finally, pray. Pray a lot. The Bible speaks in one very single sentence about this word, which I'm going to speak to in my teaching a little bit later this morning or this noon. Pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing. When we pray, we enter into sacred space. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have candles and incense and flowers and a meditation room and silence and wonderful environments. It means you can do it in your core. When you're driving, when you're waiting for a light to change, it seems to take forever. Someone told me this last week. They waited for 5 minutes at a light before it changed. And I said, did you get anything out of that experience? And she said, yes, I got very upset because I was late for my appointment. I said, why didn't you leave earlier? And she looked at me and she says, oh, you would. But, we need to turn that around in our experience. For those of us that drive, that's a pretty common experience in our life. If we live in a city or anywhere it involves lots and lots and lots of traffic, then we're going to have to deal with other men, other women in the world in which they live. And the older man or the older woman who is driving so cautiously on the road that they're just at the speed limit has as much right to be there as you do. And I say that with great respect, since I'm now among the older people who drive on the road. I would like respect from my neighbors who are following behind me, thinking, what is that old guy poking along here and not moving along as a little bit over the speed limit or a lot over the speed limit? Driving is not the point. It's about prayer. It's about making use of your time wisely where you and I are on the face of the earth. We're all going to talk about this in various ways this month. These are some ideas that I want to share with you today. May they be a source of blessing to you as you express gratitude for being in a form in life in which you can acknowledge the presence that motivates you. God bless you, each one. And now, we're at that wonderful, wonderful point of closure for our service, but we're going to ask the ushers to please come forward that they may receive the offering. Today, our church practices tithing. For those of you that know about the experience of tithing, it is a real gift and a real opportunity to open yourself to the flow of the universe, always remembering that. May all beings be blessed. Thank you, ladies, for your service today. And may each of us be blessed always. Thank you, musicians, for your music in advance. Thank you.
All right. One more time. Might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break.
I'm a hot air balloon that can rise through space.
With the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy, laugh along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy,
clap along if you feel that happiness is the truth.
because I'm happy, laugh along if you know what happiness is to you.
Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel that that's what you want to do. Yeah.
Here come bad news, talking this and that. Yeah.
Give me all you got and don't hold back.
Yeah, well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. Yeah,
No offense to you, don't you waste your time. And here's why.
because I'm happy, laugh along if you feel like a room without a roof.
Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel that happiness is the truth.
Because I'm happy, laugh along if you know what happiness is to you.
Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel that that's what you want to do. You bring me down,
Can't nothing,
bring me down,
my level's too high.
bring me down.
No,
All right,
can't
then I'll take
nothing.
it off.
Can't bring me down.
Happy,
Can't bring me down.
No, can't nothing.
Can't bring me down.
I said my level's too high.
Bring me down.
No, can't nothing.
Bring me down.
'Cause I
Because I'm happy.
clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel that happiness is the truth. Yeah.
Because I'm happy, clap along if you know what happiness is to you.
Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel that that's what you want to do. Yeah. Can't bring him down.
No, can't nothing.
Can't bring him down.
Said my level's too high.
Bring him down.
Said can't nothing.
No, can't bring him down.
'Cause why? 'Cause why?
Bring me down.
No, can't nothing.
Can't bring me down.
Oh, my level's too high.
Can't bring him down.
Said can't nothing.
Bring me down.
'Cause I
Because I'm happy.
clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel that happiness is the truth. Yeah.
Because I'm happy, clap along if you know what happiness is to you.
Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel that that's what you want to do. Because I'm happy.
Woo.
Thank you.
Happy Sunday, everyone. See you next week.